Hello and welcome back to India's Economic Outline. I'm your host Juhi Todi, and today we're taking a deep dive into one of the most ambitious schemes of the Indian economy, the Make in India scheme. It has been nearly 10 years since the launch of the scheme. Now it is time to assess whether the scheme has achieved its main goal of boosting India's manufacturing sector to make it globally competitive. When Make in India was first introduced in 2014, it seemed like a turning point for the country. The primary goal was to increase the share of the manufacturing sector in the GDP from 15% to 25% by 2025. The original target was supposed to be met by 2022, but was later revised and extended. Fast forward to 2023, and the manufacturing sector contribution remains stagnant at 17.7%. That's only a 2.7 increase over a decade compared to the 10% increase originally aimed for. Given these figures, it seems highly unlikely that an increase in 7%, which will take us to the ambitious 25 target, will be met by next year. Should we be more realistic and revise this timeline once again for the second time? Let's take a look at another key objective of the Make in India scheme, creating 10 crore new jobs in the manufacturing sector by 2022. However, it seems employment in the manufacturing sector has shown little growth over the past decade. The manufacturing sector employed 3 crore people in 2013-14. This, although increased to 5.1 crore in 2017, it decreased back to 3.57 crores in 2023. Although the pandemic exacerbated this decrease, statistics show that this decline started even before 2020. This shows that an entire decade later, the increase in employment in the manufacturing sector has been infinitesimal. However, government sources claim that employment is increasing and has reached 6.24 crore jobs in 2019. While it is unclear whether employment in the sector has increased or decreased and by how much, what is clear is that the goal of creating 10 crore new jobs has not been achieved. So what about those big headlines of the multinational corporations expanding their manufacturing operations in India? While these investments are important, they do not create enough jobs to achieve the 10 crore new job objective. For instance, a 3,000 crore investment by Coca-Cola in Gujarat is expected to generate only 1,400 jobs. Similarly, Nestle's 900 rupee crore investment in Odisha is set to generate around 800 jobs. These numbers don't match the scale of jobs needed to meet the scheme's goals. India is aggressively pushing to establish itself as an electronic and semiconductor manufacturing hub, as seen by the enormous budgets allocated to these sectors. In this year's interim budget, Rs 13,000 crore was allocated to electronic and chip manufacturing. The problem with this is that this industry is capital intensive and requires high-skilled labor. For a country like India, which has a large pool of low-skilled labor, investment in labor-intensive manufacturing industries like textiles and footwear is vital to generate significant employment. However, the budget for these industries is much lower. In 2022-23, although 11,000 crore was allocated to the Ministry of Textiles, the revised budget estimate cut the budget by 71% to 3,500 crores. This concentration of investment in capital-intensive manufacturing has hampered the growth of labor-intensive manufacturing. That is not to say Make in India hasn't had successes. Thanks to government interventions, primarily to cut down red tapes, India's ranking in the Ease of Doing Business Index by the World Bank has improved significantly, going from 134th in 2014 to 63rd in 2020. Furthermore, India's manufacturing sector has grown in vaccine and electronic production. But despite these advancements, the scheme's core objectives remain largely unmet. So what can we conclude from a decade of Make in India? While the initiative has undoubtedly brought some improvements to India's manufacturing sector, the overall growth has been lackluster, and the core objectives of the Make in India scheme, even a decade later, are nowhere near being met. This raises questions about the future of the scheme and whether a reassessment of goals and strategies is needed. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of India's Economic Outline. If you have thoughts or comments on today's topic, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm your host, Juhi Todi, signing off.